Flexwork just bought Pro Camps and an 8-figure deal. Flexwork, for anyone that doesn't know, they operate camps put on by pro athletes. What do you think about this news?
Trend watch alert here, right? So we had Nina on from the Savannah Bananas and talked about how for them to do their camps right, they really wanted the Bananas and their ecosystem players at these events. They're additive to them. I think it's always hard to scale attendance by someone who's notable, right? There's only so many people. So it's hard to scale these things. I actually think the bigger experiential unlock is in facilities and infrastructure. How many pro stadiums sit? And I know there's hurdles to this. I've talked to people and they've explained the hurdles. But what's cooler than playing at the Aberdeen version of Camden Yards is playing at actual Camden Yards, right? I think pro leagues, teams, federations, things we've talked about in our second half trends become more involved, not just in licensing their name or an athlete showing up for a day, but they actually become more involved in the partnership, in the programming of whether it's camps or tournaments or leagues, right? The same way the Bananas want it. The Bananas want to run their league. They don't just want to license it to somebody. Now, there's a balance there. You can't do it all alone, but I think you're going to see the leagues want to be more involved in controlling that experience, and they can leverage their existing facilities. They can leverage their athletes and do it in a more systematic way rather than, it's just like a third-party platform that contracts with an athlete to show up for a camp for a day, right?
So kind of like when the Golden Batter at the Savannah Bananas game comes out, everybody goes nuts because usually it's a legend or it's a certain NFL player in that town.
No, I mean, RCX kind of said this, RCX licenses the league, the league stuff down to the teams, and they do a good job of it. But they didn't really the leagues aren't crafting the programming, right? It's not really a developmental thing, right? It's a fan development thing. Fine, right? In this case, pro camps and flex work, it's one-off athletes coming, showing up. Cooper DeJean runs a camp. It's a third party that hosts it. That athlete gets a cut. You can't really scale that. I think you're going to see teams and leagues in particular and federations be more involved with these things beyond just the licensing, beyond just a one-off athlete showing up, right? How can they help actually craft part of the experience and use all of the resources that they have, from their facilities to their athletes to their access, to really make these comprehensive experiences? Now, they might come at a premium price, and some people aren't going to like that. But I think we as a society are just scratching the surface of kind of sports adjacent experiences, from sports travel at the pro level, certainly at the youth level, tourism drives things. I think you're going to see the major brands in sports, which are ultimately teams, really become more involved, not just in licensing the name or a one-off athlete, actually helping to build a cohesive experience.
I like the vision. Pro player X shows up to Cooperstown Dreams Park, as an experience or something like that. I like
deeper.
What's deeper? School me.
The New York Yankees, New York Rec League, right? And the championship game gets played at Yankee Stadium, right? Why aren't we playing more youth games at pro sports stadiums, right? I'm sure it has to do with cost. You go occasionally, you get a Mites on Ice at a hockey game, right? You get some high school team that is able to play. There's the Carpenter Cup in Philly. So it exists, but these things are sitting empty most of the time.
I think you already have proven your point why it doesn't. Why Noah Khan was at Citizens Bank Park this weekend, because they just saw 2, 3, 4 millions and millions of dollars, and the outfield grass will now be crushed for the entirety of the summer. FDR Park, which is across the street from the Citizens Bank Park, there's a Phillies donated field out there that they maintain, they represent. It's got Phillies insignia ever. I think those kind of spaces would be better built out, like a youth sports facility, add on, hook on.
I'm telling you, pro teams are going to need to think more about revenue streams, because this current round of TV contracts is probably the high water mark, or the growth rates have slowed, right? Cable carriage fees, this is well documented. We're getting out of youth a little bit here, but they're going to need to think about other revenue lines. These are multi-billion-dollar brands, and they've really only operated under a couple of paradigms. And this is already happening. You're already seeing teams think about how to extract more money out of customers. Most of the reach down in the youth from pro teams and leagues has generally been in the philanthropic model, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, we built this community field. We did this. That's great, but it's not the business model. These are for-profit entities, right? How can we leverage all of the access we have, the fields we have that, every kid in your city would die to get on, right? How can we access, leverage our IP beyond just working with RCX and allowing them, to license it to somebody? I do think a world, we were going to ask this of RCX, MLB isn't policing little league teams that have national league teams, right?
They're not yet.
But the bananas are probably a world in which pro leagues start doing that, right? These are real, these are real brands, and there's a balance there between there's a balance between the feel good side and the business side, but this is meaningful IP. It's a money making opportunity, and I think it's a development opportunity, at least on the federation side.